Today, we're going to talk about why it's important to be gentle when we practice mindfulness.
Oh, it's an easy thing to forget, isn't it? It's all about focus and attention, razor-like.
Concentration. And a lot of people, Craig, I've noticed when they start meditating,
Mm.
they, without realizing it, they think they're doing 5 or 10 minutes of mindfulness meditation every day, but they're actually practicing 5 to 10 minutes of self-criticism and self-judgment meditation every day.
I'm just not getting it right. What's wrong? What am I meant to be experiencing?
When's my
Is this
mind
it?
going to stop wandering? Why does it keep wandering off? Get back on the breath.
Mind you, a sometimes subtle one as well, sitting down. Hey, I'm really in the moment. This is great. But it's all a form of distraction.
It's all just taking us away from what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And I've noticed in courses I run that when people practice in that way, that the meditation becomes really unpleasant. And in fact, the whole practice of mindfulness becomes really unpleasant, and then people stop doing it.
Yeah, and thinking, oh, mindfulness doesn't work, but what's actually being practiced is not really mindfulness.
No.
It's internal dialogue going endlessly with an overlay of criticism and judgment.
And that criticism and judgment will trigger the very same stress response that we're trying to step out of when we're practicing mindfulness. So it actually activates the amygdala and starts flooding the body with stress hormones. So it can actually have the opposite effect. And so cultivating an attitude of gentleness is super important when we're practicing mindfulness.
Because if we're cultivating that mindful curiosity, we would have previously noticed that a judgmental, reactive, critical attitude actually accentuates the very things we're trying to get rid of. It's like, I don't know, being confronted by an angry dog and trying to hit it with a stick. And of course, it gets more angry. And our mind's a little bit like that.
So instead, with mindfulness, we want to think about training a puppy.
Yeah.
Now, you put a puppy on a mat, right? And you tell it to stay. And what's it guaranteed to do?
Well, within a second or two, it's chewing your slippers, it's digging a hole in the garden,
It's
digging
just
up
going
the
to keep
veggie
wandering
patch.
off. It's the nature of puppies. And the mind is exactly the same. And of course, if that puppy wanders off and we hit it with a stick or we yell at it or we stomp and grab it and chuck it back on the mat, it's going to get more and more agitated and be unable to stay on the mat. I mean, it's probably going to want to sneak off to irritate us or be a million miles away from us. But even if it wants to stay on the mat, it's going to be agitated and tense and unable to do that. And isn't the mind just exactly the same?
That's right. If you see somebody who's really good with dogs, they don't train a puppy with anger and frustration and irritation. Consistency, gentleness, kind of a loving kindness.
There's a firmness, there's a definite sense of bringing that puppy back, but with all that gentleness and patience and persistence. And then the puppy starts to get the idea it needs to stay on the mat. And it starts to calm down. And the mind is exactly the same. If we train our attention in that way, whether it's in sitting meditation or just throughout the day, noticing it's wandered off, okay, that's normal, and gently bringing it back. After a while, the mind starts to calm down and we become more able to pay attention to our breath or the food that we're eating or the conversation we're having or whatever it is that we're doing.
It's almost like one part of the mind is training another part of the mind. Like the executive
functioning.
It's a good way to
think about it.
Yeah, the executive functioning part, the master is training the puppy, the default mind. Sit. And eventually one day, if we ask it to, it might even go fetch. The mind might actually address
Might go and fetch something useful rather than getting caught up chewing on slippers and
you're sitting
running
there
around in circles.
trying to get some work done, and you ask your mind to actually pay attention to what you're doing, to actually bring in the information you're meant to be reading or to listen to the person speaking to you. So that's a kind of go fetch bit of the mind, is it actually pays attention to the things you needed to pay attention to.
Yeah. And because anything we practice literally gets hardwired into the brain, if we practice self-criticism and judgment throughout the day, that's just going to get stronger and stronger.
We get good at it.
And the moment we start practicing gentleness, we just become gentler and kinder and more patient in our day-to-day life. And not in the sense of letting the mind just wander off and do whatever it wants, but in the sense of just gently, patiently bringing it back and having a different attitude towards ourselves and all of our experiences.
That's right.
So it's a very useful thing to practice with mindfulness, an attitude of gentleness and patience.